Alright, here we are. We're getting water for brew day. This is filtered reverse osmosis water. It's going to be perfect for our brew. Oh, I've got to open my little thing here. There we go. And it is a beautiful sunny spring day, early March here in West Texas. We've got, I don't know, it's probably about 65 degrees. The wind it's just a light breeze. It's going to be perfect for brewing, perfect weather. I'm going to treat my water with brewing salts because after the reverse osmosis process, there's hardly anything in it. It's going to be great brewing. Okay, I'm setting up the brew sink, which hasn't been used in a long time, and a huge disappointment. The threads are stripped off on my sink drain, so my new nut and tube will not go on. I'm gonna have to replace that sink drain at some point. So I'm gonna have to figure out something else for today. Okay, well, I got to thinking, and I was gonna be using this blue drain hose anyway. So instead of clamping it onto the tube, I just clamped it onto the bottom of the sink drain. Brilliant! And we'll sell it in 6-packs. Brilliant! All right then. Okay, here I am grinding the grist. All right, I've got some grain in the hopper already. I've got some grain in this this bus tub, and I've got a whole bucket full of grain over here. So let's get started. All right, here we go. Quit licking that, Frost. That's it. Eat up the malt off the ground. Look at that nice, fluffy, crushed grain. Breaks up all the husks, breaks up all the endosperm, and that makes all those starches available for conversion into sugar in the mash to be turned into wort. All right, the brewery is online. Got my sink set up. Got my mash water heating up in the hot liquor tank. There's the mash tun ready to go. I've got sparge water boiled up in the boil kettle, and by the time we're done with the mash, that should be cooled down to about sparge temperature. So I am at about 172 degrees. That's about perfect. Time to conduct the mash. I'm going to add some brewing salts and then get started. Okay, here we are. We're ready to mash in. I'm going to add the brewing water to the mash tun and then add the grain kind of at the same time. Okay, you can turn it off for now. Now that is a good smell. We've mashed in. It's about a 150, just under. And I'm adding some direct heat to the mash tun, which is pretty tricky. I better stir it constantly. Okay, we are at 154 degrees. That's right where I want it for starch conversion. And so our mash is a beautiful, foamy mash of malted grains. This is going to be a great beer. Alright, let me start my timer. Alright, here we are. We are 15 minutes into the mash. I just pumped the previously boiled water into the hot liquor tank, and it is about 180 and coming down just about like I thought. And then our mash, I had to add a little bit more heat, but we are at about 153 or 154. Look at this beautiful mash. That is lovely. Smells like $1,000,000. Boil kettle's empty and ready to be filled. And I think we're about 15-20 minutes in. Okay then. Okay. Now our 15-minute mash is, our 1 hour mash is over. And we are now doing the Vorloff step. I am recirculating the mash through the pump and back to the grain bed, back to the mash tun. And this will set up the grain bed as a filter and let all the particles that got through the screen clear out and run back through to the top of the bed. So as you can see, I'm pumping from the mash kettle, the mash tun, to the pump, and then through the counterflow work chiller, and then back around and back to the mash tun. The mash tun has a false bottom in it. I don't know if I got that on the video, but it's a perforated screen in the bottom, and there's a copper dip tube that's connected to that valve right there that goes down into the middle of that screen. So it draws out just the liquid underneath the screen and keeps the bed of grain above the screen. And we're gonna start draining to the kettle here in about 10 minutes. Okay, 15-minute Vorloff step is done. Let's see what we got. Alright, and it has really cleared a lot. Relatively, anyway. That is the sweet work. So we are going to leave the pump running, shut off the valve, and we're going to transfer it to the boil kettle. Alright, still running off to the kettle. That was loud. Sped it up just a little bit. That's still pretty slow runoff. We need to run it off just slow and steady so that we don't stick the grain bed, make it a big stuck glob, and also so all of the grains will gently be rinsed once we start sparging. So as we run off the first works, or the first runnings to the kettle, once we get to where we're just about to beach the grain bed, we will start our sparge. Getting there. And that will rinse the grain bed with the hot water. Very cool. Alright, now we are sparging our grain bed. I have this sparge manifold with about I don't know, 100, 150 little tiny holes drilled in the bottom. And it's just like a little sprinkler. And what we have to do now is try to match the rate of the sparge with the rate of the runoff to the kettle. Slow and steady wins the race here. There we go. And I'm probably running off slower than I ever have. I'm putting a little heat to the hot liquor tank so that I can bring it up just a hair. It's really almost perfect, but 170 is what we're going for. And I'm still going to slow this. Actually, I'm going to speed this up just a hair. And that is the sparge. Good stuff. Gently rinsing all the sugars out of the grain. Here we are still sparging. And as you can see, the grain bed, the water going on top of the grain bed is very clear. But the water running off to the kettle is just starting to clear. That means we are doing a very good job of rinsing all of our sugars. It looks like I got a lot of draft in my kettle. A lot of particles that went through my screen, even after vorloffing for 15 minutes. So I'm not sure what to say about that, but I can probably run it through a screen, a mesh bag, as I recirculate later on. Okay, we're out of sparge water. The hot liquor tank just went dry. We are still running off to the boil kettle, and I think we're going to hit our volume. It's looking good right there. Have my old spoon here, and we're somewhere around, I'd say 16.5 gallons. We need to be around 18 gallons of hot liquid. That's that second mark. The lower mark below the 18 there is 18 gallons cold. And we want to be 18 gallons hot. And yes, liquid does expand when it's hot, just like everything else. And hopefully we've got enough still left in the grain bed to get us there. And if we get 18 gallons, we'll boil it down to 15 and a half, and that'll be just enough to fill our fermenter, which is, you guessed it, another Sankey keg. I'm going to turn this off because the generator kicked in, the compressor kicked in, and that's too loud.